Did you pack your phone charger?
Yeah, I got it.
What about the tablet charger?
No, I thought you packed it.
No, did you grab the tablet charger?
No, can you turn around?
I am so sick of this scenario, so let's put an end to this. Today we're going to make a roll-up charging station. First things first, face your fabric in the right direction. Next, gather up all the chargers you want to store in this project. I took a few chargers, I bundled the cords, and I measured. I also took one of my most recent projects, my Christmas in July advent calendar, and I measured those pockets. I put some of my device chargers in those pockets and I realized that they were too small. So I'm going to go a little bigger. I'm going to go 4 inches by 7 inches. Here's an illustration to show what we will be cutting, but it's way easier if you fold your fabric in half and you cut them both together. So you're going to need 2 pieces, 12 inches long and 29 inches wide. This is something that everybody could use, but not everybody has a mat and a rotary cutter. So I decided to use my plain old measuring tape, chalk pen, and my scissors. I took my measuring tape and I measured from the top down to the 12. I marked it with a piece of chalk and I continued the process all the way across the fabric. I decided to start with a 12-inch project. 12 inches will give me plenty of seam allowance. Once you have a dotted chalk line across your fabric, you can take a ruler and you can connect each line and then cut across. The back piece is cut out. Now set that aside. Now you're going to take your original piece of fabric and repeat the same process. Instead of measuring down to the 12-inch mark, you're going to measure down to 9 inches. Make your chalk line all the way across and then cut. Pocket cut. Now rotate that piece all the way around so that the pattern will be upside down. Now you're going to flip your fabric so that the 2 right sides of fabric are going to be facing each other on the inside. On most fabrics, there's this little white border. I am actually going to use this in my seam allowance. Instead of cutting it off, take the end and line it up in the middle of that white border. When I sew, I'm going to make sure that I clear that white line. So when I flip the fabric over, you're not going to see any white. Carefully pin and then sew all 3 sides on each piece. Here's an illustration to show where we should be sewing. For the first time ever, it is time for the obligatory sewing clip. Silly, I know, but it's way better than watching me sew a straight line in every one of my sewing videos. If you need beginner sewing instructions, go back to my channel and I have a video on there that's basic sewing techniques, how to make a pillow. Flip them right side out, take a pencil and carefully pop out the corners. I took an ironing break for neatness, but I also used it to open my seams just a little bit more. Looking good so far. Now I'm just going to check my work and flip my pocket up and see what happens. Yep, and my patterns are facing the same way. Now let's attach this big pocket. This next part is a little tricky. Here we go. You're going to take the top part of your project and you're going to flip it up maybe 2 inches on the bottom. Slide that bottom fabric up to lay right on top of that flipped up fabric. So you're going to have 4 unfinished pieces of fabric in your fingertips. Lift the entire project up and lay it down so that the pocket is on top. And as you can see, the pocket is upside down. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to get crazy here. Total rotation. My pattern is facing the right way now, so let's pin the 4 unfinished edges together at the bottom. This is going to seal the pocket shut. After I pinned it, I turned the pocket outside in. I checked all my seams and everything looked like it was going to sew just fine. So I flipped it inside out again. After the bottom's pinned, you're going to pin up the sides. Line the fabric pieces up together and don't be afraid of a big baggy pocket. We're going to need that extra room because we're going to turn this big baggy pocket into 5 or 6 little pockets. After sewing and before you flip it, you're going to lift up the bottom of those pockets. You'll have those 4 pieces of fabric in your hands again and you're just going to trim the little triangles off. But be careful, Don't trim the seam that you just sewed. Now it's time to flip that pocket out. Again, take your pencil or your dowel and gently push the corners out. And here we are, we're getting closer. I would definitely suggest ironing the inside and the outside of the pocket before we finish up. Next, we're going to measure and mark our pockets. Same tools as before, measuring tape and your pencil. As I said in the beginning of the video, I wanted my pockets to be 7 inches tall and 4 inches wide. I'm actually going to measure 4 inches and a quarter, and that will give me plenty of extra room in each pocket. I'm going to start at the edge, measure 4 and a quarter and mark it. I'm going to move it down, measure 4 and a quarter and mark it, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to put a pin at the top and the bottom of my pocket so that the fabric will stay together when I walk it over to my sewing machine. Once you have your first chalk line, continue the process all the way across your fabric. You're going to sew a little, back it up, sew all the way down, and back it up again. Here's another illustration to show where we're going to sew. Cut off all the hanging threads. We are almost done. Time to add some chargers so we can attach a ribbon. I was able to get 5 even pockets in a tiny little pocket on the end. It's a good time to remind everyone to be extra gentle with your device chargers. A loose circle or a loose figure 8 is perfect. Once all the pockets are full, you're going to want to roll it up so we know where to put the ribbon. The ribbon is going to go right here on the left side of my roll up, and then it's also going to go right here. Blue ribbon, you are the winner. Don't be afraid of length here on the ribbons. You can always cut them shorter. I don't want my ribbon to fray over time. So I'm going to lay the end of my ribbon down, and I'm going to make sure that it's tucked under the ribbon I'm going to sew onto my project. Secure the ribbons with pins and bring them to your sewing machine. Sew in reverse over the ribbon a few times to make sure it's secure. All finished. Let's add our chargers and see what it looks like.